Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Main, awesome wife and dog mom for life. I'm a sex therapist turned sex coach, and I run a successful business selling relationship enhancement products. I absolutely love talking about all things sex. So you can expect this podcast to explore all things related to women's sexual health because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you discover and embrace what brings you pleasure so that you can own your sexual self. If that sounds good to you, then keep listening and let's fucking do this. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me on this bonus episode of Owning Your Sexual Self. Today is World Maternal Mental Health Day. Yes, today, May 5th. Some of you may be out there celebrating Cinco de Mayo today. If you're out there getting your drink on, totally understand, totally support that too. But, this podcast is all about spreading awareness around topics involving women that I feel are very, very need to know. And oftentimes some things that are pushed under the surface and that don't get a lot of attention or talk or are taboo. And you know my style by now, hopefully. But today, if you're a listener of mine, you know that I myself am not a mother of a human child. I am a dog mom for life. And so that's why I wanted to shed some light on today's awareness topic with three of my closest friends who are all moms. So I have three of my friends today joining me, Dana McWilliam, Sarah Harrell, and Lauren Libkeman. These are three mamas that we are going to just have an open discussion today, talking about the struggles that they have faced after birthing their children. And why is this a topic? Again, today is World Maternal Mental Health Awareness Day, and I'm pulling some topics here right from the website itself, World Mental Health Awareness Day website, which of course I'll link in the show notes here. So this is a group that works towards helping mothers and helping babies. In many countries, as many as 1 in 5 new mothers will actually experience some sort of maternal mood and anxiety disorders. These illnesses frequently go unnoticed and untreated, often with tragic and long-term consequences to both the mother and the child. So we're working today, and this organization as well as this podcast episode is working to raise awareness around this topic. Women of every culture, age, income level, and race can develop perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. And symptoms can appear anytime between pregnancy and the first 12 months after childbirth. There are effective and well-researched treatment options available to help women recover. And I'm hoping that this episode is going to, again, shed some light on this topic and also inspire somebody that might be listening today to reach out for help, reach out for support, reach out to another mom friend that's out there, because the likelihood that she might be experiencing some of the similar struggles that you're going to hear throughout today's episode is pretty common. All right. And I want you to know too, your illness is not a crime, right? Sometimes women are considered to be criminals instead of patients needing treatment in the case of this mental health awareness, right? If we're looked down upon, if we are struggling after having a child, or we're not understanding things, or we're taking more time for ourselves, right? All these things can often be looked down upon. And it goes to say that we have to change our attitude around that. We have to change our outlook around that. Increasing awareness is going to drive social change with a goal towards improving the quality of care for women experiencing all types of perimental health disorders, right? So reducing the stigma of maternal mental illness. So the next time you run into one of your mom friends, instead of just saying, hey, how are things going? You're likely going to get an answer that's like, oh, good, just keeping up, we're doing the best we can. You're going to get some laissez-faire answer like that, likely. But I want this episode to really encourage you to ask that woman, how are you really doing? Truly, how are you doing? And be willing enough to sit there and listen to what she has to say. You don't need to be a problem solver. We just need to listen to what the people in our lives actually need. All right, so welcome to our interview today. As I said, this was a bonus episode, so I'm very excited to have 3 of my besties on with me, all living the mom life. And like I said in the intro, this is not something that I can relate to, but I can see through their eyes. I know they have a very impactful message for everybody here today. So I'm joined again with Lauren Lipkeman, Sarah Harrell, and Dana McWilliam. 3 moms that are doing the damn thing, and they're going to share with you today about their struggles that they experience with the quote unquote mom life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves first, so that way you get a little bit of background to their lifestyle that they're living. And so Lauren, you're on my left, so I'm going to have you go first.
All right, so I'm Lauren Lipkeman. My son is going to be 2 years in June. I am a stay-at-home mom. I have been the entire time since he's been born. I also run a business full-time, and then my husband works full-time from home, thanks COVID.
Yeah. So everybody's home pretty much all of the time with Dawson.
All the time.
Okay. And then what is your family support like outside of the home? Good, bad, not so good?
Yeah, I have really good support. So my sister was the only one who actually watched Dawson for a long time. So I just bought a house across the street from her. It was just more convenient. And then my parents also only live 20 minutes away. So they are super helpful. And I'm sure we'll get into that more. But they're super helpful with keeping him when he decides not to sleep and such.
Nice.
So,
all right. Yeah. Thanks. All right. Sarah, tell us about your life.
All right, I'm Sarah Harrell. I've been a mom for a little over a year and a half now to a wonderful baby. So my husband and I both work full time. We have childcare a couple days a week. Our family helps us out. But for the most part, I am working and watching him when I'm at home. So that's pretty fun. When I first had him, I did have my own business. It was a little challenging to kind of juggle that with being a stay-at-home mom too, because we didn't have much childcare at that time. So now, yeah, we're just trucking along.
Nice. And with your childcare and the support, you also have a pretty strong family network as well.
Yep. So all of his grandparents are involved. They see him on a regular basis. And then I have my little sister who's 18. She's going to college next year, so she's been babysitting for us a couple days a week as well.
Awesome. All right. Dana, you are up.
Hey. Dana McWilliam here, and I have 2 girls. I have 2 little girls. One is a little over 2 years. She's 27 months old, and the other is just turning 9 months. So it was 2 under 2 for some time, which was insane, but I'm excited for the future of that. Right now it's just challenging. So Josephine is our oldest, and when I had her, I do my own business, and so I was doing my own business from home, and my husband was a full-time teacher at the time, and so I was doing my job plus watching Josie. And then due to COVID, my husband got laid off last June, so he's been laid off this whole time, and we had our daughter Penelope in June of last year. So laid off, had a baby, crazy pandemic. It was not the most fun time, but it actually has kind of been a blessing in disguise. It's so helpful that he's home, and trying to, just have 2 under 2 and me do my business and not having him home. I can't imagine how that would have gone. I give all the props to, parents who are able to do stuff like that, because it was challenging even with him home. And we are thankful that we have an amazing support system. We do have Josie go to daycare 2 days a week now, and that started in September. Otherwise, she was home with us, all the time. And then our daughter Penelope is usually home with us all day, every day. My parents do take both of them every once in a while. They have them for a sleepover tonight, so woo, adult time. And yeah, so we have that great support system. The only bummer is that my husband is Canadian, so they have not been able to meet Penelope. So she's almost 9 months. They've never met her. And so that's a big challenge and something that just is just not a great situation due to COVID and stuff like that. So, that's us.
All right. Yay. Okay, so my first question for you three, and whoever wants to answer first, you all can see each other, so you can do a little hand raise for whoever wants to go. But I want you to think back about the time when you were 9 months pregnant, you're about to give birth, and what was the information that you received about mental health awareness in that moment?
So for me, I watched my sister go through postpartum depression. So my family, my oldest sister, was very adamant about making sure I knew, like, this is a possibility. So make sure you reach out to one of us. And they, like, watched me like a hawk, basically. And then also I had a midwife, and she would make sure to constantly ask me questions about how I'm doing. Am I getting out of bed? Am I getting ready? And she made sure to keep up on checking on me as well.
Anything from, well, you said your midwife, but anything from any other medical professionals, like day of giving birth or leaving the hospital or anything like that?
No.
That you remember? I know that's hard.
No, I think mostly they focus on like the baby, and breastfeeding, but they don't really ask you anything, or they didn't ask me anything when I was leaving the hospital or after birth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead, Dana.
So you asked that, and I had to actually really think about it. I don't know if I got a whole ton of information. I think I also had a midwife, and, all the midwives I spoke to were very great, asking about me and how I was feeling and stuff too. The only thing I remember in the hospital was doing a postpartum survey, and you did your score. Mm. And then you had to do that every time you went in, after for the checkups and stuff. But there wasn't a ton of information that was given. And that's kind of, I guess that's the only thing I really remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of the same with Dana. I really had to think about it because it was the same. Like, after you give birth, you have to take the checklist or whatever. Are you feeling this, and this? And then when I did my follow-up appointment with my gynecologist, it was, the same kind of checklist. But really, that was it. I didn't, I took a packet home from the hospital that had everything from, how to take care of a baby to how to take care of yourself. And so, really the only information I really got was, if you feel any of these, call your doctor type of thing. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't much.
Yeah. I imagine you go to your school counselor in high school, and you're like, I'm thinking about starting to cut myself. And they're like, here's a pamphlet. If anybody watched Glee out there, the counselor had a pamphlet on everything. I'm like, that feels like the education that we get, or the awareness that's spread around something like this.
And for people that have never really, I've never had depression before. I've had a little bit of anxiety, but how does someone who's never experienced that supposed to recognize, those symptoms with just a survey? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the survey that you were both referring to, was it mental health focused, or did it include a variety of things?
It was mental health focused. It was just kind of asking, do you laugh as often as you used to, things like that. And yeah, I would say similar to Sarah, if you haven't had that previous experience, you're just given this survey, and you don't want to be the person who's I'm having a really hard time on paper, you just check it off, it's kind of a weird process to be here you go. And now you're going to see my scores 55 or something, if it is or something.
Yeah. Okay. So I love that you brought that up, Sarah. So how, for any of you that want to answer this, what changes started happening, or what were you starting to see on a day-to-day basis that made you maybe think more about, okay, do I have postpartum depression, or what is this postpartum anxiety? What is this, what happened for you guys?
So my first week was really tough. My husband took time off. He took a week off to stay home, but we had a choking incident. So we ended up back at the hospital, and we actually had to stay overnight in the children's hospital. So by the time we got home, he had to go back to work. So on our first day, like being home without any support or anything, like I was completely alone. And I think that entire week, I called him at 3 o'clock. I had a mental breakdown every day at 3 o'clock, begging him to come home because I felt like I couldn't do it. I just felt overwhelmed. I would drive to the store and I would bawl my eyes out on the way home, like coming home from the store, like, how am I going to do this? I don't know if I have what it takes. Like, I don't know what to do. You know, everybody says like, oh, maternal instincts, this and that. But when your hormones are shifting that much, it's, how do you listen to your instincts, you know? So for me, it was really hard. I wasn't like, I got home and I was like, oh, I know how to take care of this baby. I was like, oh shit, what do I do?
Yeah, and that's scary. You had just left the hospital and then had another tragic incident, got a week later, and it's like, when do we even now have time to sit down and learn how to take care of a baby? And then Alex going back to work, it's like, all right, here I am. When are these instincts going to kick in and like teach me all the things? Yeah. What about for Lauren or Dana? Anything that you guys noticed early on?
So for me, Eric was home, or my husband was home for 13 weeks. So I got really lucky. Like, his job was amazing. So mine was postpartum anxiety, and I had PTSD, which we'll get into. But I didn't really notice it for a long time. But I think now looking back, I started shutting out like a lot of family members, or like my parents would be like, just drop him off, or, you know, we'll watch him for a little bit. And I was like, no, like I wouldn't let anybody watch him. My sister maybe watched him for like a half hour. And then I also was very comfortable, like, leaving him with his dad and leaving the house. Like, you always hear people talk about how it's so hard to leave. And I was like, peace out. Like, bye, gotta go. And my sister was like, okay, let's chat, because as great as it is that you don't mind going to Target or whatever, there's something going on. You're very comfortable, and you're also pushing a lot of family members away. And I think I did it with friends too. Like, I really didn't invite people over a lot. So those were kind of like the signs for me that I noticed, along with, I was very obsessive about emergency situations and what I could do if there was one. So I would, like, Dawson's car seat had to be right by the window in his bedroom with like a larger size sheet. So if there was emergency or a fire, we were on the top floor, I could tie it and lower him down. Like, these were like things that I thought of constantly. Like, okay, if we're out and somebody tries to take him from me, what do I do? Do I put him in first? Like, I went through all of those scenarios in my head before I could even leave the house with him. Mm-hmm. So I think that was it for me.
Was that a normal, like, instinct for you before having Dawson? Like, anxious or thinking about emergency situations?
I've always been very, like, self-aware or aware of my surroundings. But it was never that severe. But, like, you know, as a woman, we are aware of what's happening around us, but never that severe where I had, like, plans in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scary.
So for me, I had two very different experiences having both of our kids, because the first experience, and I don't know if I would say I had postpartum depression either time. I definitely had different emotions both of the times and stuff. And so just kind of going back and thinking, okay, well, what was that trying to tell me and stuff like that? But when we had Josie, Matt was still working as a teacher. His parents came and stayed with us for 12 days. It was a lot. I was thankful, but also wanted to, like, thinking back, I'm like, I'm never going to get that time back where it's like me, Matt, and our child, like our first kid, you know? And so I specifically remember I would just always go upstairs and nurse just to, like, be away, you know, and, like, have my own space. And I would, like, go up there and cry sometimes. Like, with no reason why. It wouldn't be a ton, but that's just what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just because maybe I was feeling overwhelmed with wonderful help. I was thankful for the help, but also wanting our own space and stuff. So it was just a very different experience. So we had lots of help, right? We had everyone there. We had 20 people in our hospital room. We had all this stuff. And then we had Penelope during COVID. We couldn't leave our room. We couldn't have anyone visit. My parents wore a mask when they saw her. We didn't do anything. And so literally one extreme to the other. Matt's parents still haven't met them or met her, and so I was much more emotional after having Josie. And I remember I was in the car and I don't even know what we were talking about. And Matt said something in a different tone or a different way to say something. And I just started crying. He's like, what did I say? I was like, I don't know. I'm just more emotional. Just broke down into just hysteric, I guess. But I remember crying just a little bit with Josie, just as okay, whew, emotions just kind of overcoming. And with Penelope, it just felt different where it was okay, well, I just can't explain my sadness sometimes. And it just comes and it's super overwhelming and it's a lot. And then I'm okay. And I think a lot of Penelope's after experience, after we had her, was because we were so locked in,
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't see people. Not that we couldn't, we chose not to see people, right? To stay safe and do all that stuff. And so it was really, really hard. First 4 months of her birth were not fun, or of her life. The birth was fine. Of her life, they were not the most fun. She was a very hard infant and stuff. And so they were just total opposite extremes. All the help, no help. I mean, my parents helped, but we didn't really let them help as much,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, just because we were kind of staying to ourselves. So, yeah.
I remember getting to Minnesota when I was there over the summer and, middle of COVID, and you're Josie comes running up wanting, of course, to hug, and Dana's no, we wave that. We just wave. No more hugs. That is the freaking world that we live in now. I mean, hopefully it's starting to open up soon, but it's just so sad. And I was doing another interview recently about a doctor talking about teens and their sex life nowadays. And it's your kids are leaving and you're okay, be safe. Make sure to wear a mask. And, 5 years ago it'd be be safe, please make sure to wear a condom, and it's just it's a different world now. So anyways, my next thing I want to ask, so one thing that I hear from a lot of moms is that when you become a mom, you lose a little bit of sense of self. You have now this other person to take care of, and a lot of your own self-care, your own self-love very much goes on the back burner. So anybody care to speak to that subject? Go ahead.
So I might be, as I'm wearing my self-care sweatshirt today, I may be the opposite, or the one that stands out on the other end, because I've seen so many moms fall into that as well. I have many friends, family members who I've thankfully got to see them, raise their children and stuff like that. And I feel like that is something I'm very, very good at. I know when I need a break. I know when I need space. I ask for help 24/7, literally all of the time. And so I feel like that is something that, even though I had my moments of sadness or whatever it may be, I remember calling my mom. Matt had hockey, and I remember calling my mom. I was like, you might need to come over. And I was just crying, and Penelope wouldn't stop screaming, and I didn't know what to do. And I was felt helpless, right? But I picked up the phone and I called my mom and I was like, I need your help.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that I am super thankful that I've always made sure I've made that a priority.
Yes. And I'm very curious to hear from the other two, because my other two besties on here are the type of women that will not ask for help at all, and they're the do-it-yourself type women. So go ahead, Sarah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So my whole life, like, I never really asked for help. I'm just not that type of person. I'd rather do stuff myself, I guess. So for me, like, that was like the biggest adjustment, was recognizing when I need help and how to ask and who to ask, and just trying to identify like what someone else can do for me. So thankfully I have a really supportive partner. So, I can't tell you how many conversations where we sat down and I said, okay, I have too much on my plate. I do this, this, and this. Can you do this for me? Can you, this is what I'm struggling with. What can you help me with? So it's taken a really long time to get to that point. Mm-hmm. But as far as the self-care thing goes, I just want to say, for me personally, there is a difference between self-care when your baby is an infant and self-care when your baby is a little bit older and more independent. So the first couple months of postpartum, it's not like, oh, just take a bubble bath and have a glass of wine, or get a babysitter and go out and have a date night. Like, my most basic needs were not even being met. So for me, it was like, okay, I can't go out and enjoy dinner with my husband when, like, I haven't even slept, or, I haven't even showered today, or I haven't eaten anything, and I was breastfeeding at the time, so I'm like burning extra calories, so I'm hangry on top of it. But so, like, the first couple months, self-care is I think is going to look a little different for a lot of people, just because you're taking care of a newborn. You have a really hard time just like meeting your basic needs, and that's what you really need to focus on. And then, once your baby start getting like a little more independent, like, I'd be able to put my baby in a walker and then take a hot shower. And I know he's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to, get into anything because he can't get out of the walker. So then the self-care comes with a nice hot shower, and maybe, call my husband. Did you leave work yet? I'm going to crack the beer right now. Like, so it's very different, I think, when you first have that infant.
Yeah. That's a good point. I remember right after Noah was born, and we were like, yeah, come over. Like, we're having a party. Like, mom's night out, right? And you're like, no. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, it was, it's hard. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's hard for people that don't have children to understand, or people that are about to have children to know, like, what is likely going to come. Because our very first question is, like, the information that we get is not helpful. It's all just, oh, love your baby and take care of your baby, like, make sure you're doing the right thing. And there's so much more to the day-to-day.
I remember that party. I struggled a lot in the beginning because I was trying to breastfeed, but it wasn't working out very well, so I was exclusively pumping, which is like a whole other thing. And I want to say, like, the first week that I gave birth, I got 15 hours of sleep total the entire week. It was like 2 hours a night. It was ridiculous. And then it didn't get much better, because I had to wake up in the middle of the night and pump. So I would sleep for like 4 hours at a time. So yeah, it's hard. Like, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to stay up late. I'm like, I could be in bed sleeping right now. Like, I don't get to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, rent me a hotel so I can just have a weekend of uninterrupted sleep,
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. So I think mine is even more different, because Dawson slept a ton, and I was that person that was like, don't wake the baby when he's sleeping. Like, he'll wake up when he wants to eat. And I only was able to breastfeed for 2 weeks because I wasn't producing enough. So mine was not the sleep problem. Mine was like, I love doing my hair and makeup. I love wearing cute clothes. That is like my thing. And that was devastating, that like every time I put a cute outfit on, like a few minutes later, I would have to change because he threw up, spit up, like something happened, and there was some bodily fluid of his on me, and it was disgusting. So, which is, it's reality. So that was the hard part for me, and I kind of just shut down completely and just did nothing. Like, I loved, like, life was like sweatpants and leggings, and that was just not what, like, I loved getting dressed up. Mm-hmm. So that was really difficult for me. And I also really loved wine previously. And in my head, again, postpartum anxiety, I could not have a drink at home with the baby. Or even if Eric was home, if we wanted to have like a drink together, I could not do it. One of us had to be completely 100% sober. And that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I remember when you found out that you were having a boy, Lauren talking about how girly she is and how much she likes you, right? She's like, what the hell am I going to do with a boy? Like,
yeah, and now I completely understand why I have a boy, and I'm 100% good to be a boy. Like, love being a boy mom.
Yeah. She's like, he's going to play in dirt and, like, pick up worms and, like, all these boy things. That was the best.
Gross.
Can I jump in real quick and say something, too, that I didn't have with Penelope, but I had with Josie that I think made the world of difference? And I'm not sure, Sarah or Lauren, if you guys were able to do something like this, but I joined a like mom's group right after having Josie, and it was through AMA. I don't know if that's a nationwide thing or not, but it was through this, this company that just got new moms together. They also have like, a second time mom and stuff like that. So I was super bummed I couldn't do it with Penelope due to COVID. But that I think was so helpful because you're talking to moms who were experiencing the exact same thing you were at the exact same time because you do it based on how old your kid was. And so they would actually kind of make us get together outside of our weekly meetup. So we would go for mall walks on Fridays, and then we'd meet on Tuesdays. And so I think having that played a huge role in just being able to kind of relax and know that I'm doing all the things I need to do. And, even hearing the teacher being like, hey, the baby is fed, the baby is changed, they're still crying, go hop in the shower. And it's okay. Like, your child's okay, And so I think that was just really helpful, having that support system and network to just bounce ideas off of, learn about what was going on with other people and stuff too. So that's something I didn't have with Penelope that I have with Josie that was a huge lifesaver, I think.
Yeah. I can imagine you're on your mall walk and you're like, listen to what my kid did this week, right? It's like being able to get those things off your chest and hear from other people that their kids are just as crazy as your child is.
I really wish that I had done something like that because I really didn't know a lot of people that like had kids. I had maybe a couple of friends, maybe I wasn't close with them or, just like a handful of people. So a majority of my friends like don't have kids, so it wasn't like I could pick up the phone and like call one of my friends. And then like with the mom thing, like my mom had kids like 30 years ago though, so things have changed. It's different. And even like my mother-in-law, she had a year maternity leave when she had her son, so like I didn't have that, and I really wish I did because as I got like more used to it and I started like other people started having kids, like I would try to be that support for someone else. Like I have a group of girls at work, their kids are a little bit younger than mine, but they all like come to me like, hey, like my kid's doing this. Is this normal? Is this weird? Like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you what I went through. But I really wish I had that support system. I tried to go to a couple like breastfeeding support groups, but with like my work schedule and stuff, it never really worked out. But I feel like if I did have that, like a couple people to talk to, it would have made a world of difference.
Yeah, definitely. And if anybody wants to shed light on the topic of your body after pregnancy and how that may play part in anxiety or depression or self-love in any way, shape, or form.
So I remember with my oldest Josie, third trimester, I was like loving myself. I was big as ever. And I was feeling so sexy. I don't know what was happening, but it was great. But there are so many things after birth and after everything happens that they just like, no one like talks about it. No one normalizes it. No one's like, oh, hey, cool, so this is going to happen. And then you're going to have to like feel like you're wearing a diaper for about 2 weeks, and you have this huge ice pack, and people can hear it when you walk, but they're not going to really say anything because that's weird. And like, it's just so awkward, all of the things afterwards. Mm-hmm. Like, you have this wonderful human, but all the other stuff is still going on, and then you still are sleep deprived, and then you are still like not back to your normal weight or all this stuff. And for me, I remember you hear over and over and over again, oh, you're breastfeeding? Oh my gosh, the weight's just going to fall off. Fuck that. It did not fall off. I'm telling you that much. Okay. I've worked my butt to get back to like a pre-pregnancy weight. I'm not even there yet. Like, you know, like, yes, I did have another child in between. So rightly so.
Give yourself some slack.
You know, I eat a lot of malts during pregnancy and gain quite a bit of weight, but you know, I enjoy it. So, but I think that's the thing where it's like, you hear all this stuff like, oh my gosh, don't worry about it. It's going to fall off and da-da-da. And then you're like, well, no, none of my clothes fit how they do. I just, kid you not, just recently started wearing normal clothes again. Besides that, I was in all my maternity clothes, all my postpartum clothes that were just like Joey from Friends, elastic waistband, turkey style, right? And yeah, it's just, your body changes so much. It's so different, and it's just not talked about a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. I know, Sarah, when you were, I wanted you to talk about all the Instagram accounts that you were following. It's like all these women that are just like beautiful and like lose their weight immediately. Like, you're like, this is not real life.
Yeah, I remember when I think I was still pregnant, but I was like looking at all, you know, I started following all these mom accounts and stuff, and it's like they would take a pregnancy picture and then put it up to a postpartum picture, but they would wait like 9 months. And so, like, their body's, like, perfect and everything's back to normal. And I'm like, no. I ended up taking a picture, and it was, like, 2 days after. I still had the belly, like, I'm still swollen. But your body goes through so many changes, and people, they do not talk about it. Like, I had a natural birth. I mean, I had epidural, I don't know, whatever, vaginal birth. I had a vaginal birth. And I didn't realize, like, how long it was going to take me to recover. And I only got like 2 stitches. It wasn't like I ripped myself in half or anything, but the amount of care that you have to take on your own body, it was crazy. And then, you know, it's like every time you go to the bathroom, you have to rinse yourself off. And I remember when I was in the hospital, I had a really great nurse, and she was like, listen, don't wear the stupid pads. Go to CVS, get a pack of adult diapers. I know it sounds ridiculous, but she's like, you will thank me later. And I literally wore diapers for like a couple weeks after birth. And it was like the best thing ever, because the pads, like, they don't have wings. They're like getting crumpled up in your underwear and, you know, whatever. I'm so glad she told me that. But it's like, you don't realize like how different everything is. Like, the first time that I went to like have sex with my husband afterwards, I like called my mom crying because I was like, my clitoris is in a different location now. Like, it was like pushed back or something. It was so weird. And I was like, did this happen to you? Because again, I didn't have the mom group to call, so I'm calling my own mom. Like, Mom, my clitoris is messed up. So like, nobody told me that. Like, nobody told me like things were gonna like move around and everything. She's like, yeah, it'll move back eventually. I'm like, okay.
Jesus.
So then we went to have sex, and it was really, really tight. And like, to me, I was like, it's supposed to be like a hot dog down the hallway. That's what you hear, right? Like, what's going on? So I made an appointment with my doctor, and I was like, sex is uncomfortable. Well, it turns out I had spastic pelvic muscles, so my pelvic muscles were like just not letting go, I guess. And I actually had to go to therapy and like get my muscles worked out and like have everything like loosened up and everything. But I didn't know that was a thing. And I remember I reached out to Rachel, and I think it was Empower Your Pelvis. I don't know her name, but her Instagram account. She's like, you need to follow this account. And like, that's what she does. And so I still follow her account, and after I got everything worked out, it's fine. But like, my doctor literally said to me, she was like, thank you so much for telling me that you have pain during intercourse, because you have no idea how many women come in here and tell me that they don't, and they don't say anything. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm glad that you said something, because now we can fix it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like, I've never heard of it before. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah. And it's common amongst runners, which you are a runner. So that's, or just athletes in general. And so, yeah, Amanda Fisher, we'll definitely link her again in here. I bring her up probably in like almost every episode because she's amazing. And she has a great Instagram page, very humorous person. But yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's, again, your body, you just heard two very different experiences. Your body is going to go through so many different changes that, again, nobody freaking tells you about. So, Lauren, anything to add?
Yeah, I did a water, labor, and then natural vaginal birth with no medication. And it was like the most empowering thing I've ever done. So I remember, Rach, when you and Danny came up, like, you were the first visitors besides like our parents, and I remember like being like, Danny, I don't have anything on, you're just gonna have to deal with like and I didn't care, because I was like, do you see what I just did? Like, I don't give a shit. And I remember I wore a bralette, which is again my thing, like I wear them all the time, and I was like, sorry Rach, this is what's happening. And you guys didn't care. It was just like, it was so accepted and fine. And even during labor and delivery, my midwife, my nurses were so accepting that I was so comfortable with my body. They were like, you don't have to wear a gown or anything. I was like, I'm going to be naked, and if people come in, they come in. I don't care. I didn't wear a gown or anything. Mm-hmm. But I just was like, my body was just such like a superwoman that I was like, yes. But can we talk about anal sex after birth? Because not the same.
Please, now is a great time for that.
They don't tell you the things that happen down there. Yeah. And all this cream that you end up having to use after, or sometimes during pregnancy, it's not the same. Right.
Dana's like,
Lauren, hear me out, all right? I just went to brunch with a few of my girlfriends, and they have young kids as well. They like just had them like a year or so ago. And she was like, oh my gosh, like she was explaining something like, and it's just like what I was dealing with today and whatever. I go, Amanda, I just had to push a hemorrhoid up my asshole this morning. Like, I just pop that thing back in there with my finger. She was like, wait, really? I was like, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently I just like pop out every once in a while after pregnancy too. Like, that's cool. Like, who tells you about this? No one.
They don't. I can deal with like the boobs, like the arms in the air, like 21, 30. Like, I can deal with that aspect, but you really, we had to mess with my anal. Like, that was not nice. So, but other than that, I just felt like the body's different, but to me, I always tell myself, like, you created a tiny human and he's super cute. So it was worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you said that, because that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I hear from women, is that when you are having those negative thoughts about your body or your mental health or really anything in general, it's especially for moms, showing that gratitude and expressing that gratitude for what your body did, like looking at your child like, I fucking made you, like you came out of my body, my vagina, my belly, like whatever you want to say, but that is empowering. You're reminding yourself of that love. It's magical. Like, y'all birthed tiny humans. Like, that is insane. I was just thinking, another friend of ours had a baby recently who is literally not even 2 weeks old yet. And it's like, I saw her on like Thursday, and then Friday night she goes and has a baby, and I see the picture of the baby like that Friday night. I'm like, that was literally yesterday, that was in your stomach. And now it just came out. Like, it is literally crazy to even think like there's a whole ass human in your belly that now it's like, I don't know what, I was like not high or anything, I swear, when I was like making this correlation, but it's insane. Like, you guys are fucking badasses. That's all there is to it. So, all right. So for anybody that's listening to this, that is struggling with any sort of postpartum depression or anxiety or PTSD, anything like that, what advice do you have for them?
Well, I'm going to be the person that's going to say, ask for help. Whether you are that person that always asks for help, whether you don't. I mean, I physically couldn't do it. I tell my husband and my parents this all the time, like, I couldn't do it without them. I could not do it without support, without asking, without saying, hey, we need a break. I need a mental break right now, or I need a physical break. Like, I would go drive in my car for an hour. So I'm going to say ask for help. And if you are able to, after having your baby, join some sort of community with moms around the same kind of, baby age as you, right? So like with the kids the same age, do it. It's so much better if you don't even know them. You have no association with them beforehand. It's just your new moms doing the thing, and that would be my biggest advice.
Yeah. And real quick before you mute again, Dana, if somebody wanted to reach out to you for like mom support or questions or anything like that, or just to be your friend because you're super awesome, how would you prefer that somebody finds you?
Facebook is probably Facebook or Instagram would be my two biggest ones. So it's just Dana McWilliam on Facebook, /Swedberg, SWEDBERG. And then Dana the Entertainer with an A, not an ER, for Instagram. So Facebook is probably my one that I would respond more to in like Messenger and stuff.
Cool. Thank you. Sarah, what's your advice?
My biggest piece of advice is don't expect too much, like within the first couple months. Like for me, I had my own business at the time, so I gave birth and I was like, okay, I'm going to take, 12 weeks off, but then, I have to go back to work. I have to do this. I didn't like being at home all day. So I was like, okay, I need to, the house has to be clean. I have to have dinner ready. Like I'm home. I've got to do all this stuff. And I wish I just didn't put any restrictions on myself or any expectations on myself and just kind of floated along for a couple months. So I think that's, if you're that kind of person, for me, that would be my biggest piece of advice is just try to focus on getting through the day. And like Dana said, find a support group. I think that's really good advice as well. But yeah, just focus on taking care of yourself and healing, because you get all this information thrown at you about how to take care of the baby and what the baby needs to do, and you really need to focus on yourself as well. You need to focus on healing and getting over that, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, that would be my biggest thing, is just focus on the day-to-day stuff. Make sure your basic needs are being met. So don't beat yourself up if you can't go out to dinner with your husband because you'd rather sleep. Mm-hmm. Meet those needs first and then move forward from there.
Thanks. And how do you prefer people find you if they want to hang out and be your mom friend?
I would say probably Instagram. So it's Parcheesi, PARTCHEEZY. And I love meeting new moms and having mom friends and talking about being a mom and all that stuff. So yeah, feel free to reach out and chat.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Lauren.
All right, I have 3 pieces of advice. I knew you were going to ask this, so I was prepped. Put the damn baby monitor down.
Oh.
I was that person that was like this anytime I was anywhere. I'm sure Rachel remembers. I was addicted. Put it down. Second, it's always in our head, we have to advocate for our child, whether it's about vaccines, breastfeeding, formula feeding, whatever, we have to advocate for our children. But who's advocating for you? You have to do that for yourself. So step up and be that person for yourself. And my third piece of advice would be to have a hobby or something that you enjoy doing outside of motherhood, being a spouse, household duties. Mm-hmm. So something that you enjoy doing personally, even if it's a crossword puzzle, I don't care, have a stack of them ready. And then if you want to find me on social media, Lauren Lipkman on Facebook, or Instagram is livin_the_lib_life. And either of those is fine.
Love it. And I'll make sure to link all of your socials in the show notes so people can find you easily. And I saw Dana put in the chat too to hire somebody to clean your house. That's another great piece of advice. Yeah, you're already managing so many things. You don't need to also be worrying about the dishes and laundry and that sort of stuff. And same with your partner, especially if they are working full time. When they come home, I'm sure they want to enjoy time with you and with the baby and stuff, not, okay, you're home, do this, 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 and this, So that's a great piece of advice. All right, guys, thank you so much again for coming on today. This was, like I said, so helpful and fun. And so I'm excited to hear the feedback that we get from this. And again, if people want to reach out to either one of these three, they're all amazing, badass, like fucking kick-ass women to be a part of your life. So definitely reach out to them and they will be happy to chat with you. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you loved it so fucking much, be sure to leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next week, and until then, keep owning your sexual self.